Ζούμε σε έναν κόσμο που αλλάζει διαρκώς. Ένα κόσμο που απαιτεί να αλλάξουμε και εμείς. Να γίνουμε καλύτεροι, αποδοτικότεροι και να κάνουμε το ίδιο για την επιχείρησή μας και τους υπαλλήλους μας. Αυτό που μπορώ να κάνω για εσάς, να σας βοηθήσω στο ταξίδι αυτό, να αναπτύξετε την κουλτούρα των πωλήσεών σας, να αυξήσετε τις πωλήσεις σας και να έχετε ανθρώπους δίπλα σας που ξέρουν τι πρέπει να κάνουν.
Hello.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Bizman Live. As you are listening, I'm speaking in English because today we have a friend from the United States, Andrea from the Booksters Club. Andrea,
Hello.
welcome to our Facebook Talks. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing really well, Yanis, and thank you for the excellent English as well. I really appreciate that because I would have a really hard time speaking your language. So I really appreciate that.
It's all Greek to you, eh?
Exactly.
Okay. Andrea has a YouTube channel which I found on the internet, which is really, really amazing. I'm going to post it now in the comments in a little while. Let me put a little banner here which talks about it. And today we're going to talk about the magic of books. And that's why when I looked at your channel, Andrea, I thought, what a nice channel with small videos which have a book recommendation and other interesting stuff. And the platform, the concept that you have is really, really great. And I really like it. But first, let's talk a little bit about you. Who are you? How did you start? And why did you turn your attention to the magic of books?
Thanks, Yanis. I really appreciate that, by the way. And I appreciate you checking out the channel and mentioning it in the comments. So my story with the Booksters Club started about 8-9 months ago. And that's when I started posting the videos. But prior to that, I was actually in kind of like a rut, really. I wanted to be a motivational speaker. And then I had this invention that I wanted to put out. It's called the Cleanup Buddy. My husband and I were really excited about it. Actually, it was a toy bin and had a little sensor. And every time a kid would put a toy in the bin, it would count and sing like a cleanup song. And it did like a nightlight with story time. And we were really excited about
training
it.
kids to clean their room more effectively.
Do it yourself. It was a great idea. We were really, really excited about it. And we met someone. My mother actually introduced us and said, hey, he actually has some connections at Disney and he wants to manage you as a motivational speaker. So I'm like, great, let's do it all. And he said, you know what? I got this person out in Disney. It's a done deal. We just need capital to start getting the prototypes ready. And really, it's a four-shot thing. And we just didn't have the money. We didn't have capital, but we did have a house to put up. And so we did. And
that's a huge
2 weeks later, we never saw him again. So when, we were moving out of the house and I was like all by myself in the backyard and I was like, just talking to myself, just saying, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I felt like I made a huge mistake. I felt like I made an awful mistake and it was all because I wanted to go live my dream and I wanted to go do something and just not be a stay-at-home mom and just, wanted to do something more with my life and look at where it got me. It got me screwed up. And if it was just me, it'd be fine. but it was my kids and my family, and I just couldn't believe I was so foolish. And the problem was I actually wanted it so bad that I ignored all of the big red flags that I got, because I got a lot of them. I got a lot of things that said, like, I don't know about this guy, you know, this guy just doesn't seem right, but I ignored it all. And what I did was I shut myself out from everything. I said, okay, I'm never doing that. And that meant not just the cleanup buddy, not just motivational speaking, which I don't want to do anymore, by the way, but it was just, I don't want to step out anymore. I'm just going to stay here where it's safe, so I don't put my family through that anymore. And I knew I had a problem when we bought our kids the Super Mario Brother game for Christmas. And then by February, I finished it. And so I was like, all right, there's something really wrong here. I've got so much potential. I want to do something with my life. I need to just put my foot back on the path. I was scared to do so, but I knew I had to do it. And I didn't know what that was going to be or what that meant. But I was looking on YouTube for something that could kind of get my head right. I wanted to put something in my mind daily, you know, when I was getting ready for work or something like that, that was just like motivational, inspirational, and maybe something with books. But what I found was motivational speeches, like the ones that I've heard from like Les Brown and E.T., and just like they're like screaming in your face, like, you could do anything. I was, you know, from rags to riches, so you can do it too, which is great from time to time. But I wanted informational stuff. And I also saw like there were some videos with like quotes, and they would just like flash quotes on the screen with some music. But I couldn't really find what I was specifically looking for. And one day I was taking a shower and just poof, the idea popped in my mind and said, why don't you do it? Then why don't you do what you're looking for? Maybe this could be you putting your foot back on the path of, you know, what you're really passionate about and what you like doing. And maybe somebody else will find some value in it too and appreciate it for what it is. So I just wanted short videos, something, you know, 5 minutes or less, something with books, something inspirational, just something to chew on for the rest of the day, so you could just incrementally get better and better and better.
That's so weird that you say that. First of all, kudos on moving on from that very, very hard place of losing your house to a con man and having to start all over again and fighting through what sounds like a bit of a depression, isn't it?
It was tough. I can laugh about it now. That's the great thing about the past. So, you can laugh about it.
That's so weird that you said I created something that I didn't found in the internet, because that's the exact same way I created my own business, bizman.gr. I was working as a salesman, and I was looking for information about sales, about management, about marketing, and websites in Greek, and I didn't find any. I said, okay, let's create something, and bizman.gr began as exactly like that, as a blog with information about this, and then it escalated. I started doing videos, and as we said before the interview, my videos didn't succeed because they didn't have exactly what you said. They were really long, and they were not short 3 to 5 minutes as you do. And the format that you are producing is really great, reading a quote and then analyzing it. How does that resonate with people? Do people like to have this format? Do people like to have this quick knowledge?
Some people do, some people don't. You know, it's really tough because YouTube is, each platform is different. YouTube likes long videos. They want people to binge watch videos. They want people to be engaged in a video for a very, very long time. And in fact, if you're really planning on being successful on YouTube, they really advise that you make your videos 12 minutes or longer so that you can actually fit some advertisements in there. And that's actually what YouTube is looking for. So it's tough on YouTube. You want your videos longer. On Instagram, they want them shorter. If you want to be on the scrolling post, well, then your videos have to be a minute or less. If you go over a minute, even by a second, it's considered an IGTV, which puts you in a completely different category as far as algorithms. And then, of course, there's the Reels and the TikToks, which are, 15 seconds. And it's really challenging to get information out in 15 seconds. So really it depends on what platform you really want to grow in. But for me, I was looking for what I was looking for. And so I kind of had to stay true to that And there are some people that really appreciate it, and there are some people that don't. And I've tried doing longer videos. I've tried doing even shorter videos. Just now, I just started coming up with like all the skits that you see in the beginning, where I'm like over here talking, and then I'm over
That's
here
really cute.
talking.
Those sketches are amazing. Those sketches
Uh,
are amazing. And I
those
urge
are
people
new,
to, they are new, yes, because I started watching your channel just before you start doing those sketches. And when you put in those sketches, or when you put in some memes, which is really hard in the editing, and I understand that, to put in a meme while you talk, and or a GIF or something like that.
right?
It's really, really nice, and it spices things up in a very, very nice way. Let's
Yeah,
put the
I
channel
think.
over here. And I really like your cover photos, the photos that you have on your thumbnails. I
Oh,
think
my
they're
thumbnails.
right good. Yeah,
So
because
those are just with the wall here. I took everything away. I put, I asked my daughter, I'm like, hey, can I borrow your lamp? I got my other lamp, and my son is just filming me, and I'm making all of these like crazy expressions. And then I would just go through and then just take screenshots of those videos. And then I'm using Fonto, which is a free app just with letters, and that's it.
yeah, and I think it works because you have a very nice branding, because everywhere in the pictures have a slight difference on expression, but they're basically the same. And to me, that's very eye-catching. And I had so much trouble with thumbnails. If you look at my channel, you see the thumbnails are all over the place. I'm using, I'm still trying to figure it out, and you seem to have figured it out from the beginning. You did a really good job on this, and I really liked it.
I appreciate that. I definitely did not figure it out from the beginning. Everything is always changing. And so, like you said, you got on when I just started doing the little skits, and that was, I think, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in the making that I just started doing the skits. But everything is always changing. And you know what? I think right now is a good time for play and figuring it out and figuring out what that brand is. Like I said, I want to put my foot on the path, and I think that keeps it fresh and nimble, so you're able to figure out, I'm not sure what my brand is right now, because my audience is going to really feed back to me what they want. And something that I really noticed a big spike in was the comedy, was people also wanting to be entertained. And so there was a post that I saw, and it said that when you are creating information, it's either for information, it's for before and afters, like inspiration. So you want to show that before and after constantly, or it's for entertainment. And so really you need to be able to fit into those three categories: information, inspiration, or entertainment. And I was doing the information thing, but the information thing can get a little boring. And I didn't want that to happen. And something that I was listening to, a book thinkers who is on Instagram, he has people that he interviews as well. And I believe it was Ryan Holiday who does all of the Stoicism books, which are really, really great. If you've ever had a chance to
Yeah, I
check
know,
out him.
and I know his YouTube channel, which has those great
Yes.
videos with he has quotes from Stoics.
Yep. Yeah. He was talking about needing to spoon feed your information to your audience. The more you can spoon feed your info, what you want to get across to your audience, the more they're going to stick around. If you make it challenging for them to hear what it is that you're trying to put out, then they're going to go away. It's just too much of an issue.
Yeah.
And I took that into account with everything. I took, background sometimes can be a distraction. Noise can be a distraction. It's weird what we get distracted with. And, the message that I wanted to send was that every single day, you can open up a book and get something really mind-blowing that you can kind of just chew on for the rest of the day. And if you do that, you're just going to grow. And it's a small process. It's a slow process, but it will happen. So just stick with me, just hang out with me every single day and it'll happen. And so spoon feeding my audience has really become a huge intention of how can I make sure that I am making this as easy for people to digest as possible. And comedy and entertainment has kind of been that spoon feeding process as well.
Yeah, and comedy is always something nice to start a video on, because it captures the attention for the next 3 to 5 minutes, which you spoon feed the information to them.
Right.
Has it been challenging doing all these videos in such a short time? Because I realize that you do 5 videos per week, if I'm not mistaken, or something like
So I
that.
do a daily upload, so it's every single day. And I've
Wow.
been doing every single day for since May. I want to say since May. I did take a month off when my grandmother passed away, and then I came right back and kept doing it. So yeah, the schedule really is this Thursday. Thursdays are my day off from work, off from my responsibilities, and I take this whole day to do all my editing for the week. So you'll notice like every video for a week will be the same t-shirt because I'll film back to back, and I do all of my filming that week. So I film 7, and then I'll just simply upload them one day out of the week. And that's really how I'm able to continue to pump all that out. I do all my interviews are always on Thursdays as well. If I'm making a reel, the makeup is already on, might as well do it. It's always on a Thursday.
You compact all the jobs together because, as you said, you have the makeup on, so it's easier to do it.
Because
Yeah.
life too.
Yeah, because
I
life
have
too,
kids
exactly.
and a
I know
job
what you
and
mean. I
other
know what
things,
you
and
mean.
there's just it's Thursday is my day. That's the day I get up super early. I get all the filming done and out of the way, and then I edit and finalize, and they're just packed up and ready to go for the weekend.
How do you find time to read all these books? Do you read them whole, or do you read some section of the book until you find something interesting to do a video on?
That's exactly what I do. So every single night, I'll just grab a different book. And so one night I'll be reading Destinies, and I'll just open it up to where my bookmark was, read until I find something interesting. As soon as I find something interesting, mark it, and then whoop, and then next week it'll be a different book. Or I'm sorry, the next night it'll be a different book. And so I just read a different book every night, and it does get a little confusing because I'm in between like 30 or 40 different books. But I have to say that the interesting side effect of that has been the in-between thoughts, because you will read somebody very different like Brene Brown, who thinks a certain way, and then Gay Hendricks, who thinks a certain way, and they're totally different. But in between the two ideas, I'll kind of ponder, how are they both right? Or how can these two ideas both fit together? And it will give me a new content idea, or it'll give me a new quote, or it'll give me some type of truth that maybe I didn't understand before. And so it's that in between time that I've really grown to value, that I wouldn't have figured out otherwise if I had just read a book, cover to cover, which is what I used to do. This is a very different way of reading that I do now. And I don't see myself giving that up anytime soon. I really like the in-between time.
It's a unique perspective, and I understand completely. It drives my wife crazy when I read 3 or 4 or 5 books at the same time. I have them open, everything has a page. How do you say? I don't remember the word now. And it drives my wife crazy. Say, how do you read like that? How can you read 5 books at the one time? I say it's a perspective for me, because all the books are about a subject that I like. So I get 5 different perspectives, and that creates something different for me, perspective. Yeah. So
Yes.
what's the most influential book you've read while doing this?
So while doing this is that's a curveball. Because my most influential book has always been The Alchemist. I love that book. I read that book once a year.
Paulo Coelho.
Yes. My favorite book of all time. And it's a nonfiction book, which is funny because everything I do on my channel is nonfiction. But I absolutely love that book. That book is fantastic. And like I said, I read it every single year. The book that I would say on this channel has really affected me, like I said, I read so many. It's like picking my favorite child. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now, trying to figure out which one's my standout. You know what? I got to say Built to Serve. And it's, it's not because of the amazing experience I had with Evan Carmichael and being able to interview him, but it really was the way that the book was formatted. It's my favorite kind of book, is a book that you do, not read. And that book is very much, you can't just read the book in a couple of weeks, which is what people typically do. They'll read through a book, they'll hem-haw about a couple of things, and then put the book down, and that's it. This book is very different. It's broken up into 3 different sections. It's called Built to Serve, and it's your why, your how, and your who. So your who is first, and there's different things that you do, exercises to figuring out what is your who, what's your one word that really defines you and talks about who you are as a person. And it could be anything from who was your favorite teacher growing up and why, what's your favorite movie and why was it impactful to you, what do you love about the way that your parents raised you. You have all these things to kind of ponder about. What is your who? And you kind of start to find these words that start to bubble up to the surface that start repeating themselves. And then you figure out who your who is. And then you go on to your
it's
why.
A process. It's a process.
It's
You don't just read the first part and say, I'm done with it. You have to do something about it.
Yes, it's a work in progress the whole way through. And so when you're not ready to move on to the next section, because maybe you can't figure out what your why is and the worksheets aren't helping you, it really does no purpose in going on to the next thing, which is your how, because that's how you're going to implement your why. That's how you're going to figure out what your purpose is. And you can't figure that out until you really got to do the work in order to move on with this book. And I really like books like that because it's just not about reading a book. It's about what the book does. How deeply does that book penetrate into your life and create change and influence you? And if you're different from starting the book to ending the book. And I would have to say that that book has really been great at not just the information, but saying, get up off of the couch, let's do the work. I like it.
I completely understand. I've read a lot of books on the subject of sales and productivity and all that. And there is just one book that really resonated with me and made me change the whole approach I had on my business. And even though I don't like the guy, I got to hand it to him. This book was really amazing. It was Grant Cardone's 10X Rule. And I strongly suggested to you that you read it if you haven't already. Because
I haven't yet.
You haven't yet? Yeah. I really don't like the way that Grant Cardone markets himself, even though he's a billionaire now. But that book in particular was the book that made all the difference for me. And in 3 years, I made the blog bizman.gr my main occupation, and I'm only working with this now because I followed the instructions from that book. It was a book that I had read it multiple times. And to me, that's really a great book because it changes you. It changes your business and all that. And to me, that those books are really, really important for a book to change you, to leave something.
It's amazing that you bring that up because I have a hodgepodge of different books on my bookshelf, and I have a lot of books from when I used to be in sales. And then I have some kind of like spiritual books in there too, The Power of Now and The Untethered Soul and things like that. And they're very, very different in philosophy. And I kind of know what you mean about the Grant Cardones. They have this real aggressive energy about them. And I have this saying, and it's what makes a banana yellow also makes it brown. And so what people can be successful at, or what gives people success, sometimes they don't know how to turn that off in other aspects of their life, and it can be off-putting because it's just over assertion and it's overactive and it's very in your face. But there are some keynotes to take away from it. And when I was in sales and I would read these books, the thing that I valued most about these types of books was it was just like work. Whatever is inside your head, this brain of yours, make it clean, lean, and a fighting machine, because this is really going to get in your way the most when it comes to sales, when it comes to business, when it comes to creating a company, when it comes to beating out yourself. You're your own competition. You're the only thing getting in your way. And so there's this dominant energy that some of these books tend to have, and these authors like Grant Cardone, where it's just like dominating the body. I do, you do what I say, and you are tired, it doesn't matter. Let's go. You're lazy. Put some cold water on your face and get out there and make it happen.
It can drive you crazy. It can drive you crazy. I understand.
It can, but you know what? It'll also get things done. And it'll give you success.
Exactly.
So that's why it's great to read multiple authors, because you can cherry pick values and tools from one author and then calm yourself down with a little bit of Eckhart Tolle. So you're not going out there like, oh my God, my car, my this, Balance.
I read a really great book. I don't remember the author, unfortunately. It's called Necessary Endings. It was such an amazing book, so spiritual. It talks about the the process of leaving things behind, leaving people behind, leaving situation behind. And it was so spiritual, and it was so amazing book that after all the business book I read, mostly because, I train companies, so I need to stay up to date with information. It was like a cold shower in my consciousness, reading a book so spiritual and grounding me very, very, very much.
I
So
love that title. The
necessary endings, check it
Necessary
out.
Endings. I'm going to look that
Yeah,
up. Just the
look that up.
title alone sounds
It's a
amazing.
great book. So paperback or Kindle? I didn't see you yet holding a Kindle when you do an.
I don't like Kindle.
You don't like Kindle.
I hope they don't want to sponsor me one day, but because I'm like, I don't like.
Put the word yet. I don't like Kindle yet.
Yeah, up until now, Kindle has not been my favorite. That's for sure. I just prefer opening up a book. I like to mark it. I like to feel it. I like getting it. I like the whole process about.
Do you smell the books?
Sometimes I get a lot of my books used, so I don't take a big whiff of them, just because I'm not sure.
That can be a booby track.
Exactly. Maybe not so good for COVID, right? But I try not to take a big whiff of the used ones. But yes, I love the process of feeling a book, seeing it on the bookshelf, growing, remembering. It's physical, it's tangible. It's kind of like, scrolling through your phone. It's amazing to have all the pictures, and then there's the shoebox, and you're at the kitchen table and you're going through the pictures of. It's just a different experience. So I do like the paperbacks.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I do like paperbacks. It can be a huge problem though, because if you have a lot of them, the house starts seeming like a big seems like a big library.
It does.
I also like Kindle though, because I can take it anywhere with me, and it can hold many things inside, and I can flip through some books really fast with it.
Great point.
You also have a coaching practice with your channel, which I'm going to put up here again. Talk to us about your coaching practice that you have.
Yeah, so the coaching practice is very new, and I'm really excited about it. It's called the Find Yourself program. This is the first program that I've come up with on my own, and really it's developed to helping people identify what is inner speech. So we all have inner dialogue, and it can get very confusing sometimes. We're not sure if it's our mind, if it's just subconscious thoughts, or if it's our inner speech telling us that we should do things. Because, hey, it's one thing to say, listen to your inner speech and go after the things that you want to do. But then it's another thing to say, where does that start from? I don't know what inner speech is. I don't want to get myself into trouble. I don't want to put all this bravery into something that was not even inner speech. It was just my subconscious thoughts or my monkey mind going crazy, telling me to do things that I shouldn't even pay attention to. So really, it's identifying those things and figuring out what is inner speech. And a great short little tip that I can share with the audience is, if you're in the present moment, that's a good indication that that's inner speech. If you're thinking about the past or the future, odds are that is not inner speech. That is your mind trying to narrate or trying to predict what will happen, or think about and narrate what happened. And so that's not really inner speech. But we use a lot of other things within the body to kind of identify that feeling and recognize exactly when that inner speech is coming out and when that isn't inner speech. Our body gives us really, really small, subtle clues, and we can just tune ourselves into them. We also do muscle testing. I don't know if you've ever heard of kinesiology or muscle memory testing. And that is simply something that we can do now because, we're not going to be face to face, but we're through a camera. And so you can do it on yourself to figuring out what subconscious thoughts are stuck in you and what things you want to bring out into the surface. And then we also do some stuff where we come up with a bunch of different words to create a personalized mantra, which is a great tool that you can pull out and use whenever you feel as if you're nervous, if you're angry, if you're discouraged, if you're frustrated. You speak your mantra and boop, you feel like your energy is raised and you're ready to go and move forward. In fact, just before we did our interview here, Yanis, I spoke my mantra to myself. It's just a great boop tool I can use to just raise my energy. And then at the tail end of the program, this is really for anybody who wants to start going into some creative endeavors where we partner up with an idea. and looking at ideas as outside entities and giving them proper credit. So that way the ideas continue to come to us and we don't feel like, oh, how am I going to top the last idea I just had, and taking all the credit for us can kind of make us feel like we're going crazy. But if you're interested in keeping ideas where they're just constantly on tap and they're coming towards you, the tail end of the program is partnering up with an idea and how to be the best partner for your idea. And that actually just wrapped up. This Friday will be, which is tomorrow, will be our graduation ceremony. We're going to be doing a Zoom call. And so the clients that I had that just went through the program, it was an 8-week program, will be graduating this Friday.
That's what I was going to ask you, how much time does the program last, but you said it was 8 weeks. And you talked about the present and having your inner voice heard in the present and not the past or the future.
Correct.
It sounds a bit like the Zen teachings I was reading about when I was a martial arts teacher. Does it have a correlation with them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure if it necessarily has to do with any specific teacher that you've heard of, but I think that there's a lot of information out there right now about tapping into the present moment and how powerful that is. Our mind is a really interesting animal that we constantly live with, and it can be a wild horse that is super untamed, or we can start to learn the process of not controlling it, but living with it and just observing it for what it is. And I think that when we try to control it or when we try to dominate it, it gets out of control even more. It's one of those things that the second you think you have it, that's the second you've lost it. And when it comes to the present moment, it's really just letting the mind do what it wants to do and then paying attention as the observer to what it is doing. So that way you can start making decisions, choices, and you can start seeing it for what it's doing and not identify with it as much. So the less you identify with your mind, the easier it is to let things go. Is that's not me. That's not coming from me. That's just something my mind wants to do. When you're laying in bed and you are torn between what child to save because you're on a raft and you don't know if the sharks are going to eat this child or that child, which one do you save? That's not you. That's your mind doing absolute cartwheels and nonsense that has nothing to do with you. You could just let that go. Don't claim that. That's not you. But we have a lot of dialogue that goes on in our minds all of the time. And so the present moment is a really powerful exercise. And meditation has been a really great tool.
That was my question again. It was the next question I was going to ask. Through meditation, do you observe your mind more easily? Is meditation a tool to be an observer of the mind, so you can then control it and nudge it towards where you want to go?
Yeah, so meditation is a great exercise, and I have 2 different modes of meditation, and meditation really is just simply witnessing the mind. That's all you have to do, is just witness it. And the morning meditation that I have is it's a guided meditation. I go through all the different chakras and I have a check-in that I do. And so that's a lot of, I would say, me running the show, me telling my mind, this is what we're thinking about right now. So we're not going to think about that. This is what we're thinking of. And so it's active thinking, but the mind is still thinking. It's still talking. I'm just telling it, this is what we're talking about right now in meditation. And at night, when I do my meditation, that's just simply observing the thoughts. So I'm telling my mind, go ahead, go do whatever you want to do. And the second you come up with a thought, it's a practice I see you. So the second a thought comes to my awareness, I'll simply state within my mind, I, the observer, see you. And the second you witness the thought, it dissipates. And so another thought will come and you'll just simply say, I see you, and it'll dissipate. And so thoughts will come and you'll send them away, and they'll come and you'll send them away. And I think this is a really important side of meditation, because our minds are really going to be in constant use. I love the dog whisperer. I'm not sure if you've seen him, Cesar Millan, know of his show,
No, I haven't.
Dog Whisperer. I think it was called something different all the time, but Dog Whisperer, 911, all this stuff. But he is a great dog trainer, and he uses energy with dogs. He really understands their body language.
He's on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, oh man, he's so good. Gray hair. Well, his hair is graying now. Caesar Milan, and he says he rehabilitates dogs and he trains humans, because really it's the human that needs the work, and the dog is just ready to go. Whenever you're ready, the dog is just picking up on your energy and it's ready to go. And the thing that I really liked about one of his episodes was there was this lady, she called, she said her dog was just going insane. They would go on walks and the dog was spinning out of control, didn't know what to do. The dog was tearing up the house, was peeing all over the place. He was just being disobedient. And it was I think a border collie, is like a sheepdog. And these dogs are really, really intelligent. They have tons and tons of energy. And he says, you know what? I want you to meet me at a ranch. So they all drove out to the ranch, and he said, all right, let the dog go. And the dog immediately took after all the sheep that were out there on the ranch. And it just started herding the sheep and herding the sheep and herding the sheep. And the owners were like, that's so weird. He's never seen a sheep before in his life. I had no idea he knew how to do that. And Caesar said, I've arranged for you to come out here at least once a week. I want you walking him every day, but at least once a week, you need to let him come out here and do this. It's instinctual. This dog knows what to do instinctually, and it's going crazy because it's not doing what it was meant to do. Our minds want to go. Our minds need projects to work on. The problem that we have today is that we're not working on enough creative projects. We're not doing things that light us up, that excite us. We quit doing projects when we left, school. And now our minds are focused on the mundane tasks at hand. Go to work, do the same thing, watch the, mind-numbing television. Our minds
We've stopped being creative, huh?
We quit being creative, and your mind wants to be creative. And the parallel between that dog and our mind is when you don't put it to positive use, it becomes destructive. And what we're experiencing a lot right now is a destructive mind. It's not necessarily that our mind is bad or out to get us. It's that we're not putting it to its proper use or what it's been designed to be used for. And that's creativity. And a lot of people will say, oh, but I'm just not a creative person. If you're a human being, you are designed to be creative. You absolutely are. You don't have to pick up a paintbrush or sing in order to be creative. It could be absolutely anything. It could be landscaping. It could be, interior design. It could be building things. It could be anything in the whole wide world, but it's where you have creative freedom, no boundaries, limitations, and your mind can just do what it was designed to do. And meditation is really taking that mind and saying, okay, discipline time. You don't run the show. I am running the show. Now I get to let you do what you want, but it's on my terms. And I see you. I see what you're doing. And also in this meditation time, I'm telling you what we're going to say. I'm conditioning you. I'm showing you. Here's the exercise. This is what we're doing. And just like anything with exercise, it starts to gain this discipline, and it starts to gain
muscle.
It's muscle. And so when you have thoughts that are not good for you, they're not conducive, they're not for your highest self, you can feel it immediately. It sends a chemical reaction down into your body. Your body has a physical response, and you feel it. You feel it in your gut. You feel it in your neck. You feel it in your chest. You feel this heightened heart rate. You feel it becomes anxious, nervous, anger, sadness. All these things show up, and you think, oh, what am I thinking of right now? Oh, what is my focus right now? And so you're attuned to it, and your discipline comes in to say, we're not doing that right now. If you don't have discipline, you won't be able to tell this level 10 mind who is on a roll right now with whatever it's thinking, and it's going through that tape that it always does. You can't stop it. It has no discipline. It's like a child or a dog that has never been disciplined. Yeah. Exactly. So that's how I see meditation. That's how I use my meditation practice. It's not that the mind is bad. It's that it's a tool you got to work with, let it do what it's supposed to, and then also say, we got to do some work and discipline.
That's really, really amazing. I really love the example of the dog, and I think you're exactly right. The mind is an amazing tool which has so much potential. We all have creativity inside of us. It. Doing creative things, creating a program, creating the videos, the feeling that you have after doing something creative is you are so content of yourself. You are so calm. You did something from nothing. And I think as human beings, we need to feel that once in a while, because if you don't, as you said, it becomes destructive against ourselves. And in these troubling times, I think people should get in touch with you to learn more about your program, which seems really amazing. 8 weeks program, and you start living in the present and in the day.
Exactly. Thanks so much for that, Jens. I totally agree. 100%.
Exactly. So, Andrea, any closing thoughts about books?
Yeah, give books a try. I hated books when I was a kid. I hated books. I had no idea that they would be my thing. When I was a kid, I struggled with reading a lot. I sucked at it. I was really, really bad at reading. I was embarrassed to read it. It made me feel stupid. It made me feel dumb and inferior. And the first time I read a book cover to cover, I was 16. So before that, books were the enemy. But the first book that I ever read, actually, it was a religious book, but after that, I want to say it was A Millionaire's Common Sense Approach to Wealth by Dexter Yeager, and then Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then it just like kept going and going and going and going, and I just could not get enough books because the light bulb went off in my mind that, holy crap, you can fix yourself with books. You don't have to go to a therapist. You don't have to go to a counselor. You don't have to have mentors in your life, physical people that you can look up to. If you don't have these people in your life, you can open up a book and have somebody, bam, right there giving your undivided attention, and you have all the time in the world to ponder. They're going to tell you what they think, and they're going to give you their point of view. And then it's up to you to kind of sit back and go, huh, do I do that? Huh, is that something that I've struggled with? Huh, I didn't know about that. And it gives you a different point of reference. So you can actually start changing the way that you think about something. And when you change this internally, everything externally changes. And so then you start having different life experiences, and then you're really hooked. And then you're really on it, because you start realizing that, hey, the more I learn and grow and develop myself, the better shot I have out here in this world. And it doesn't matter necessarily how far I've been set back in life. I can still do this on my own time, at my own pace, whenever I want to. And books are cheap compared to therapists and counselors. So I love them.
Yeah, books give you the ability to reinvent yourself at will. It's something amazing. And most people treat reading and knowledge as a vaccination. Once you get it on college, you're okay for the rest of your life. But it's not like that.
I like that. That's so true. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I'll give you credit, but I'll have to say that a couple of times from here on out. That's a good one. I like it.
Thank you. So, Andrea, thank you so much for your time. We said 25-30 minutes, and it's already been 45 minutes.
Can you believe it? It was a great conversation, though. I was so happy to have it.
And if you want, we can do this some other time and talk about a different subject. Okay?
Yes, please. Absolutely.
So, this was Andrea from the Booksters Club. From what place from the United States are you?
Nevada, United States.
Nevada. Okay, from Nevada, United States. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you in the next Facebook talk we have. Bye, Andrea. Thank you very much. Don't close the connection. We will talk after we go off the air. Okay?
You got it, Yanis. Thank you so much.
Bye.